Hi guys, Candia here with the Age Journal. Back to the part 2 of this cereal box junk journal that we're creating together. I hope you've gathered papers to put in your junk journal, because that's what we're doing today, is we're going to put our papers into our junk journal. So I'm going to show you how we're going to put holes in this and create a journal. Get started on doing that. So let's get started. So you have your cover, and then you're going to gather papers. I have most of my papers already folded already, so you're going to gather papers and fold them. So I have this one paper that needs to be folded left. I'm doing 15 pages per signature, and I'm going to have 4 signatures in here is what I calculated. And I'll show you how I calculated that in a minute. So my size of what I want my papers to be is going to be 5 3/4, because I want it to be in just a little bit, and 8 3/4, because remember our journal is 9 by 6, so I want it to be inside the journal just a little bit. So I'm going to cut this down just a hair because it's a little bit big. So we're going to do 8 3/4. Let's do it over here where you guys can see it. And this is very old paper, so it gets a little rough when it cuts it. I can get that wrinkle out. 5 3/4, and on this one, because there's no lines in between, the 5 3/4 is right at the mark where it folds. This is the Fiskars Procision rotary trimmer. Okay, so we got that trimmed up to where we needed it. So now we have all our papers ready for our journal. And so this is what I got from the outside of my first paper. I thought these would be fun little tabs hanging out the top. And I have some coffee dyed paper. And I have some different types of ledger paper, some old lined paper, some more ledger paper, some letterhead paper, some old letterhead paper, some more ledger paper. This one's really big, so I folded it down, so instead of trimming it. And music sheet paper. And this is how I set my papers up. I set them up in assembly line style, so that way when I'm going to set up my spine or my signatures, I just, so it makes it quick to get my signatures all set up and ready. And as you can see, I have 3 set up and ready to go so far, and so I just really quickly put them together, and we'll do that right now. So I'll show you what I do. Is I take one and I take the next page and the next page and the next page, and I have 2 of all of these pages, 1 of this page and 3 of these pages in here. So this is how I'm working it. So there's that going in the center, my second one of that, and then I'm grabbing one of these, 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 and then this again at the end. And then I just stack them all together, and then we got our 4 signatures all ready to go. And I like how these, I made it so that these were kind of separated out, and they'll stick out of the book a little bit, and it'll be real cute. Now, how I figured out this is I use a piece of grid paper. And this is what I do for all my signatures. I take a piece of grid paper and I lay it in the spine, and I measure where the spine is, make a mark with my fingernail, or you can use your bone folder, whatever you have, and then I'm going to cut that off with my paper trimmer right at the mark where I made with my fingernail. And then I take this back, and I have a perfect size that fits right in the center of my spine, and I'm going to fold it up here. Make sure I have it right. Fold it up here to find the height of it, and then I'm going to cut it off there. Right where I folded it. And then I have the center of my signature. And with the magic of TV, I have one already set with what I do. So what I do is I count how many lines are in my signature so I can find the center of my signature, or my signature block, I should say. And this one had my signature block to be at 23 because there was 45 lines. So I put my middle at 23, and I want there to be 4 signatures because of how it measures out. So I did the 4 signatures there, and then I did 13 down this way and 13 down this way to kind of give an even stretch of my signatures. So we're going to use this to clip to our spine and poke our holes in our spine with our Tim Holtz pokey tool. And this will give us nice even lines. So I just use the center of where the 2 lines meet there, in the center of where I circled, and poke my holes through. And when I'm done, I'll show you the back. And we have, careful of your fingers, because that is a sharp little poke that you get, as I just got poked. And if you have an awl tool, you can use an awl tool. That's the correct tool for using with binding, but this works just as great as well. And then I also write a little T for top on here, and I write, you can write left and right, or front and back on there, so you can remember which direction it is that you're going with this, because that's important, because each of these needs to go to the correct signature that you have. So there's our holes, and they're all in a nice grid pattern, all straight, and it gives you, and this is something I found from another YouTuber. I didn't come up with this idea on my own. I'm sorry, I can't remember who that other YouTuber's name was. It was just something I was randomly watching a while ago, and probably like a year and a half ago, and it was just the best idea that YouTuber had, and it just gives me the straightest, best signatures, even signatures in my books, and I love this idea. It makes it perfect in the books. So what I do next is I take my signatures and I set them upside down, and I work from the back to the front. And so I'm going to take this and I fold the paper over and make a little crease in it, and I take the back one and I'm going to move this up a little bit so that this is kind of in the center. There we go. And we're going to set this face so that the top is on the top, and we're going to kind of center it because this is a little bit longer than the signatures, and we're going to clip this in to our signatures, and we're going to secure our signatures together, and then we're going to poke the holes just like this. I don't use anything, I just hold it like this with my fingers so that the spine is nice and tight together, and I usually start in the center, and I hold it like this and just shimmy the hole through, and it always comes through perfectly into the middle when you hold it like this and just shimmy the all through. It just works every time without needing an extra tool like a phone book or something like that. And you see that it's in the middle, and then I take this and I take it to my book, and like I said, I always start from the back to the front, and I have my thread, and I use a Coats & Clark upholstery thread. It's 100% nylon, and it has like this nice grip to it, so when I am sewing this together, you'll see it will hold together, so you don't have this problem of trying to hold your string when you're tying your signature. It works really great, and I just leave my thread on the on the thing here. Can't think of what it's called. And I just pull through, use it, leave it on there, so that way I'm not wasting extra thread by trying to figure out how much thread I'll need. And it takes a little time to get used to working with it on the thread on here, but once you do, it's not that hard. Okay, so now you have your thread all together, and I take this off and I just snug it up, and I do pull it back a little bit so that I don't have so much of this thread here. And then I tie this and get it right in the center and get it stuck right there in the center hole, and you see that the thread is holding together because of the nylon, and it like has like this wax coating that it just holds together, so I don't have to worry about trying to hold it. And then I tie 2 or 3 knots in it, and you don't want to pull these too tight. You just want to pull it snugly because this will break, it will rip. And then you can have the option of leaving these a little bit long and adding some dangles to them, little pieces of paper that you've cut into a shape of a heart or a chevron or something like that. I usually just trim them off to like this and have them in the center like that. And there we have our first signature in. And I'll show you again one more time how to do this. And then the rest I'll do off camera and come back and show you the finished product. So we're going to take our spine block again, and we're going to take our next signature, and we're going to fold our spine block here to the next line of dots. We're going to open our signature, and we're going to line this up to the center of the center in the signature, so that a little bit sticking out the top, a little bit sticking out the bottom. And we're going to attach it in, and then we're going to take, and I don't know why, you can start anywhere you want, but I always like to just start in the middle and pull the pages like this, and you're just wiggling to get it through. And there we go, we got it right through into the center. And make sure you hold your fingers on each side of the page when you get down here and wiggle it through. And there again, we got it on the center. And then come up here and wiggle through, and we got it on the center again. So it works really good this way, and you don't need any extra, like I said, any extra like a phone book or anything like that. You just kind of keep your signatures closed so that they are all tight and taut. And then we're going to put this into the book again. Find out what I did with my needle. Okay, here it is. And again, we're going to just leave the thread attached so we don't waste extra thread. Just have a little bit to throw away when we cut off the end on one side. And we're going to start in the middle. We're going to go through the center, come out the outside, go down to the bottom, go into the middle, and go in through your signature on the bottom. Go back through the middle, back through the spine, go up through the top, go back through your signature, and once you get there, you can take your clip off, and we're going to pull this through until we get that a little shorter, and we're going to make sure we're nice and tight, snug, and we're going to tie this off. We're going to get it tight into the center of the hole there, into the center hole. And then we're gonna tie it up. And we'll do 2 or 3 more to make sure we have a good knot there, so it's not coming undone. And trim it off. So all we have wasted is this little amount of thread. So I'm gonna finish up the rest of the signatures, and I'll be back to show you the finished journal. Okay, so I got all the signatures put into the book. So they're all sewn in and they're all even top and bottom. They look beautiful. The lines are all even, looking nice. They're not all jumping all over the place, and thanks to the grid paper, we really wasted hardly any thread, which is really nice because as a crafter I like to keep my waste as least as possible. I always like to put something over my thread and binding area because I want to protect it and keep it from getting ruined and ripped. So I found this because I really want to be able to see the book this time. So I found this where you can see through it and see what the paper looks like still, and this I think kind of goes with the colors of the burgundies in the feather, and the gold goes with the gold that we have on the ephemera that we used on the front. This is one of those wire ribbons. And then I also noticed I didn't ink the edges along here. So while we're at it, we're going to ink the edges along here before we put that on, just so they stand out nicely. And if you don't want to cover the spine up, that's fine too. You don't have to if you don't want to. I just always like to protect my binding. That's why I always do it. It just makes it look cute, you know. It's just another added cuteness to the design. So I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac and I'm going to Fabri-Tac the spine here. And I'm going to lay this on top of it. And then I'm going to do a little glue here to lay down the gold piece. Yeah, that looks pretty. I like that gold trim finish. And then do the same on this side. There we go. And then trim it off the bottom and the top. There we go. Now we have our book all together, and all that's left to do is decorate. So next time when we get together on part 3, we'll do the decorating of the inside, and I look forward to doing that with you. So next Wednesday, I'll see you back to decorate this up. So have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.